Hello there, I'm Azaria Tagaya and you're watching Nightline. News making the headlines. Government drawing up policies and strategies to eradicate rent-seeking practices. And EPF plans to introduce Account 3 for new members. Good morning. The government is studying and drawing up policies as well as legal strategies to curb rent-seeking, also known as the Alibaba culture, which has a negative impact on the country's economy. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said the problem has resulted in estimated losses of around 1% of Malaysia's gross domestic product, GDP. In a statement on Tuesday, Datuk Seri Anwar, who is also Finance Minister, said the government is serious in addressing and eradicating the Alibaba culture in the country. He added the losses procurement, licensing, permit issuance and quota, as well as subsidy and grant distributions. The decision on the establishment of the anti-Alibaba policies was made during the National Economic Action Council MTEN meeting chaired by Datuk Seri Anwar on Monday. He also said the Economy Ministry and the Attorney General's chambers, as well as the relevant ministries and government agencies, will look into the matter and draw up proposals to tackle rent-seeking activities, which would then be presented to the Cabinet. The meeting also agreed to expedite the National Energy Transition Roadmap and ETR initiatives as a strategic catalyst for turning Malaysia into a regional leader in renewable energy. The first phase of the NETR will feature 10 strategic and high-value pioneer projects with investments estimated at 25 billion ringgit, which will create 23,000 high-quality jobs. Later at night, Datuk Seri Anwar confirmed that the political parties under the unity government have finalised the seat distribution for the 6 state elections to be held next month. The Prime Minister said this after chairing the unity government Leadership Consultative Council meeting at Menara Dato' Kuala Lumpur on Tuesday night.
Ya, dia muktamadkan semua negeri, ada 1-2 saja di 1-2 negeri yang kita akan bincang. Malam ini selesai.
Datuk Seri Anwar, who is also Pakatan Harapan chairman, added that PH will notify the date for the announcement of its candidates in the state polls within the next 2 or 3 days. As for Barisan Nasional, its chairman, Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, said the candidates from BN will be revealed on July 21st. Kedah, Kelantan, Terengganu, Pulau Pinang, Selangor and Negeri Sembilan will go to the polls on August 12th, with nominations set on July 29th and early voting on August 8th. The Employees Provident Fund, EPF, is planning to introduce Account 3 for new members, especially those working in the informal sector within the next 2 years. The new account for members born in 2010 and onwards will be similar to a savings account and will give them the flexibility of making withdrawals of any amount at any time.
So this will allow for them to save and hopefully compound through dividends, while also meeting any potential immediate cash needs. Because 50% of Malaysian households can't even raise 1,000 ringgit to cover emergency.
The proposed contribution rate to Account 3 is between 5 and 10%, which would be credited automatically. Existing members may also opt in once the new account is available. Members could also choose to transfer their savings from Account 3 to Account 1 and 2. Presently, 70% of the member savings and dividends is retained in the main account for their retirement needs, while the rest goes into Account 2. Meanwhile, in a statement on Tuesday, the EPF said the proposal to make it mandatory for retirees to make monthly EPF withdrawals when they reach the age of 55 will only apply to new members born in 2010 and onwards. According to EPF, there is no plan to change the current mechanism of lump sum withdrawals at age 55 and 60 for existing members, with monthly withdrawals only for those who voluntarily opt in. It also emphasised that the first payout under the mandatory option will only be made when the new members retire, which will be several decades in the future. The statement added that the proposal was still being refined and any decision on the mandatory withdrawal option will be made after careful consideration and in alignment with EPF's commitment to its members' future interests. Last week, the government said it was finalizing the details of a proposal to make it mandatory for retirees to make monthly EPF withdrawals when they reach the age of 55. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said Putrajaya had no objections to the proposal, but it would depend on the EPF's capacity. The government's plans to introduce a progressive wage model could entail making annual salary increments mandatory. Economy Minister Rafizi Ramli said his ministry was tasked with overseeing the implementation, but he noted that a policy that might compel employers to periodically raise workers' wages could face backlash. Rafizi described the wage model as one of the most unpopular reforms he would implement as a policymaker, adding that the ministry will present to the government the policy paper for a progressive wage model in early August. The progressive wage was among the key election pledges of the ruling Pakatan Harapan coalition, which had vowed to carry out broad but painful reforms to reshape an economy driven largely by cheap labour. There is still little information on the proposed wage model, but Rafizi's ministry had suggested that it would be a crucial policy fix to address long-standing structural defects in the economy that had allowed employers to suppress wages which had not kept up with inflation. Suppressed wages have also led to fears about growing wealth inequality, especially between the country's top and bottom earners. The government has given its assurance that the prices of essential goods, especially subsidized items, will not see an extreme rise this year. Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Minister Datuk Seri Salahuddin Ayub said this includes the prices of controlled items such as sugar and non-controlled items such as bottled cooking oil, which are constantly monitored by the ministry. Datuk Seri Salahuddin said his ministry has the responsibility to monitor the prices of essential goods for the people on a daily basis, and observations have so far shown that there has not been any increase.
Contohnya seperti ayam, bulat, telur grade A, B, C dan D. Kemudian yang kita bagi subsidi sebagai contoh RON95, diesel dan perkara-perkara yang lain ini kita memberikan jaminan tidak mungkin naik selagi mana kerajaan membayar subsidi pada barang-barang asas rakyat ini.
The minister was speaking to reporters after checking out the prices of goods at a hypermarket in Kuala Lumpur. Datuk Seri Salahuddin claimed that his ministry has not received any complaints regarding the prices of consumer goods so far, hence refuting claims from several parties about price hikes. However, he urged the public to report to the ministry if they encounter any price hikes involving essential goods in supermarkets or grocery stores. On the media reports about a projected 20% increase in the prices of goods in October, Datuk Seri Salahuddin said the ministry is aware of the matter and will continue monitoring the situation, especially the prices of staple items. According to the media reports, the 20% increase was projected due to two main factors, which is import inflation and the rising cost of business operations in Malaysia. The Education Ministry will leave it to the police to carry out an investigation into a case in which students were allegedly bitten by a male teacher at a school in Kelantan. Its Minister, Fadlina Sidek, said the ministry is awaiting the results of the investigation and would not compromise on any acts of violence towards students.
So jangan risau, saya nak bagi jaminan apa sahaja yang berkaitan dengan aduan yang melibatkan keganasan ataupun buli maupun yang kita panggil apa sahaja yang melibatkan fizikal, tindakan fizikal ni kita siasat. Ya, itu yang mesti kita sampaikan pada masyarakat. Siasatan kena hormat proses itu. Ya, jadi bagi ruang untuk siasatan diperkemaskan.
Fadlina also assured that the ministry would announce any important updates on the case. The minister was commenting on a woman's statement claiming that her son felt afraid to go to school because he was often bitten by a male teacher. She claimed that her son was not the only victim, as it had also occurred to several other students in a social media post that went viral on Sunday. The incident had left students traumatized and emotionally distraught.
Kejadian yang menimpa Nur Suzaili Mukhtar pada 7 Oktober lalu membuka mata kita.
Dibawa ke tempat kejadian dan ternampak satu mayat perempuan dalam keadaan telanjang.
Hanafi, 38 tahun, merogol dan membunuh Suzaili.
Korban ni sempat nak pergi kat depan tu minta pertolongan melalui cermin. Dia kebetulan nampak.
Fail Mahkamah, Rabu 9 malam di TV3 dan stream secara HD ditonton.
The government is studying a different approach in combating drug addiction, such as introducing medical intervention, treatment and rehabilitation instead of imprisonment for minor drug offenders. In view of this, the Prime Minister's Department's Legal Affairs Division is looking into the establishment of a sentencing council to review all criminal sentences, including those related to drugs. In a statement, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Law and Institutional Reform, Datuk Sri Azalina Uthman Said, revealed that the Council would provide guidelines and reduce prison sentences by promoting rehabilitation and restorative-based sentences across Malaysian criminal legislation. According to her, this is to address the overcrowding issue in prisons, given the detrimental risks faced by inmates due to such conditions. Presently, minor drug offenders make up 63% of prison inmates in the country. Datuk Sri Azalina further stated that it was vital for the law and enforcement agencies to keep up with the times, considering the existing drug laws were outdated as they were created in the 1950s. She added that the discretion of the judiciary was also crucial in introducing rehabilitation options instead of sentences focusing solely on punishment. She hoped to present a joint cabinet paper on the matter with the Home Ministry and Health Ministry by the next Parliament sitting at the end of the year. Malaysians can expect cheaper broadband services after September. The Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission MCMC said access agreements with retail broadband service providers are still being finalised and prices can only be reviewed after that. In a statement on Tuesday, the MCMC said most service providers have either published or are in the process of publishing a reference access offer, RAO, which is necessary to begin negotiations of access agreements. The regulatory body said this in response to an article by a technology portal that the government has yet to implement cheaper broadband prices subsequent to the latest mandatory standard on access pricing MSAP, which took effect on March 1st, 2023. In February, the government launched the Fixed Internet Broadband Unity Package, which was aimed at helping those in the B40 income group. The package comes with a 24-month subscription contract and is priced at 69 ringgit per month, providing internet speeds of up to 30 megabits per second with unlimited data. Coming up after this breather, Prabowo increases lead in pre-election survey.
Kejadian yang menimpa Nur Suzaili Mukhtar pada 7 Oktober lalu membuka mata kita.
Dibawa ke tempat kejadian dan ternampak satu mayat perempuan dalam keadaan telanjang.
Hanafi, 38 tahun, merogol dan membunuh Suzaili.
Korban ni sempat nak pergi kat depan tu minta pertolongan melalui cermin. Dia kebetulan nampak.
Fail Mahkamah, Rabu 9 malam di TV3 dan stream secara HD ditonton.
Istimewa Indonesia Minggu.
Indonesia's parliament on Tuesday approved sweeping revisions to healthcare laws aimed at attracting foreign talent and improving services, sparking protests by medical workers concerned that they could be disadvantaged. The new law will simplify bureaucratic processes for general physicians to become specialists and for the first time will regulate the collection of the country's biomedical genomic data for processing overseas. According to Health Minister Budi Gunadi Sadikin, one of the purposes of bringing in foreign specialists is to curb the traffic of middle-class and enrich Indonesians going overseas to seek treatment. He added granting permits for foreign doctors is also intended to make up for staff shortages. However, medical associations have raised concerns that slashing the mandatory budget allocation would strain public health centres across the country. Previously, hundreds of medical workers protested outside Parliament in the capital, Jakarta, demanding further public consultation on the reforms, which they say could weaken their protections. Meanwhile, Indonesia's Defence Minister, Prabowo Subianto, who has declared plans to run for president a third time, is gaining momentum 7 months away from the vote. According to a latest survey by Lingkaran Survey Indonesia, the former Special Forces commander topped the survey released on July 10th with an approval rating of 34.3%. This is higher than the 33.9% in the agency's May polling when he first surpassed Central Java Governor Ganjar Pranowo. The latest survey signals that Prabowo, who lost the past two elections to incumbent Joko Widodo, is gaining ground ahead of the February 14th presidential race after trailing Ganjar's popularity for more than a year. Meanwhile, Ganjar, the candidate of the ruling Indonesian Democratic Party of Struggle, remains in second place with 32.7%, followed by ex-Jakarta Governor Anies Baswedan. Jokowi's second and final presidential term will end in October 2024. Involved in picking Ganjar as the ruling party candidate, the president's inner circle has discussed a possibility in which he backs his defense minister if Ganjar slips before the February vote. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has finally agreed on Monday to back Sweden's bid to join NATO after a year of blocking the move. NATO Chief General Jens Stoltenberg said Turkey and Sweden had addressed Turkey's legitimate security concerns, and as a result, Sweden had amended its constitution, changed its laws, expanded its counter-terrorism operation against the PKK, and resumed arms exports to Turkey. Stoltenberg also described it as a historic step, but stressed that a clear date could not be given for when Sweden would join the military alliance, as this relied on the Turkish parliament. Hungary is the only NATO member left to ratify Sweden's membership application. 6 people have died and 3 others were missing on Tuesday after torrential rain over Japan's southwestern island of Kyushu triggered floods and landslides. The Chief Cabinet Secretary Hirokazu Matsuno said up to 6 people were thought to have died as a result of heavy rain that caused rivers to burst their banks and disrupted bullet train services, as well as cutting off roads and water supplies. The Japan Meteorological Agency warned residents in Kyushu, one of the country's 4 main islands, to stay alert for more landslides. However, the agency has downgraded an earlier special warning for heavy rain covering more than 1.7 million people in northern parts of the island. Japan is the latest country to be hit by unusually heavy rain in various parts of the world, raising new fears of the pace of climate change. Authorities in Nepal have retrieved the bodies of all 6 people killed in a helicopter crash on Tuesday, including 5 Mexican nationals, the latest in a series of air disasters to strike the Himalayan nation. According to officials, all bodies recovered near Liku, just northeast of the capital of Kathmandu, have broken into pieces. It said the cause of the crash was not yet known, adding that the government would set up a probe committee to investigate. It was understood that the private commercial chopper was coming from Surkhe in Solukhunyu district, home to Mount Everest and other high mountain peaks, when it lost contact 15 minutes into the fight. The helicopter was operated by Manang Air, which ferries tourists seeking a view of the country's towering peaks, including Mount Everest, the world's tallest mountain. Thanks for staying with Nightline. On to sports now, tennis and the 2023 Wimbledon Championships. Top seed Carlos Alcaraz roared into the quarterfinals with a formidable display of firepower to down big serving Italian dark horse Matteo Berrettini. Alcaraz was beaten to the punch in the opening set, but raised his game to claim a comfortable 3-6, 6-3, 6-3, 6-3 win to the delight of the centre court crowd in 2 hours and 53 minutes. He will now face a battle of the 20-year-olds against Denmark's 6th seed Holger Rune for a place in the semi-finals. Earlier, Rune became the first Danish man in 65 years to reach the quarterfinals after defeating Grigor Dimitrov. The 20-year-old Dane, who is making his second appearance on London's lawns, came back from a set and a breakdown to defeat the Bulgarian 3-6, 7-6, 7-6, 6-3 in a heavy-hitting 3-hour and 20-minute match. Also in the next round was Daniil Medvedev. The world number 3 eased into his maiden quarter-final after Yuri Lehechka was forced to retire injured. The 27-year-old Russian was in control of the match and had just gone 2 sets ahead at 6-4, 6-2 when his Czech opponent pulled out. Medvedev awaits American Christopher Eubanks in the last 8. Eubanks stunned world number 5 Stepanos Tsitsipas to reach the quarterfinals, the biggest knockout of his career. The towering 27-year-old twice came from a set down to continue his fine run in southwest London with a thrilling 3-6, 7-6, 3-6, 6-4, 6-4 victory in just over 3 hours. In the women's category, Aryna Sabalenka continued her march towards a second Grand Slam title this year with a comfortable 6-4, 6-love victory over Russian Ekaterina Alexandrova to power into the quarterfinals. The second seed, who has dropped 1 set in the tournament so far, faces American 25th seed Madison Keys for a place in the semi-finals. Earlier, Ons Jabeur set up a quarter-final repeat of last year's showpiece against Elena Rybakina after crushing out-of-sorts former champion Petra Kvitova 6-love, 6-3. The 6th-seeded Tunisian had faced no trouble as she raced through the first set in 22 minutes almost unchallenged. With her win, Jabeur is the first woman to reach 3 straight quarter-finals at Wimbledon in 9 years. Motorcycle crash on Lekas Highway claims 1 life. The details after this short break. Welcome back. Thunderstorms along with heavy rain and strong winds are expected to occur in the waters of western Sabah and northern Sarawak for 3 days beginning Thursday. Based on the weather forecast issued by Met Malaysia, the situation is predicted to occur following a low-pressure system that is expected to develop in the west of the Philippines and move northwest towards southern China. According to a statement, the situation is expected to cause an increase in the speed and concentration of westerly winds in the waters of western Sabah and northern Sarawak from July 13th to 15th. The statement said it has the potential to produce thunderstorms with heavy rain and strong winds in the area during that period. Met Malaysia has also issued a strong wind and rough sea warning for the waters of the South China Sea from July 15th to 18th. The public is advised to visit the Met Malaysia website and its official social media pages or download the My Cuaca application for up-to-date weather information. An accident involving a group of mud rempit on the Kajang-Seremban Highway or Lekas Highway left a teenager dead and 9 others injured. It was understood that during the incident at around 11:30 p.m. on Monday night, the group had been riding their motorcycles dangerously and performing various stunts. According to a statement by the Nilai District Police Headquarters, initial investigations revealed that all the riders involved were travelling from Nilai towards Seremban. Upon reaching the location, one of the motorcyclists is believed to have lost control, resulting in a collision with another motorcycle. The incident resulted in the death of a 19-year-old boy, while 9 others were injured, with 5 of them suffering extensive injuries. All 10 victims, aged between 18 and 20, were rushed to Hospital Tuanku Jaafar Seremban for medical attention, while the deceased was sent for post-mortem. The case is classified under the Road Transport Act. Well, that's it for Nightline. As we wrap up, let's take a look inside a nondescript building in Seattle, in which lies 2 telecommunication bookends. On one end is one of the city's largest network providers, while on the other is a museum that transports visitors back to a time of rotary telephones and operator-managed party lines. I'm Azaria Tagaya. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.